I'm Chris and Sarah. I want to give some clarity on a couple of things related to the egg hunt to make sure we're all on the same page. I want to start by walking you through a little bit of a journey that we've had with these large events and how we do that from a multi-campus perspective. Um, Over the last few years, we've done this as a centralized way to equip each campus to make their purchases and to buy different things and to run their events. So basically, we would plan it all centrally, and we would tell all the campuses how to execute the event in a way that was at the standards that we had. So a few months ago, we had a meeting with a lot of the campus pastors. Um, and what we talked about was each campus pastor uniquely knows how to reach their community. So if we plan everything in a centralized way and we tell everybody how to execute their event, what happens is each campus pastor doesn't have the creative liberty to figure out how to reach their campus in a way that is specifically designed to be effective. So we, as a campus pastor group, made a decision that these events, specifically the egg hunt, is not going to be done centralized. It's going to be done in a way where we create several boundaries that, number one, we're going to have the Willy Wonka theme. Number two, we're going to be giving away an iPad. And number three, we're hunting Easter eggs um, and having characters. So we're promoting that everywhere so that we can consistently advertise what's going on. But each campus is responsible to figure out how they execute everything. Each campus is also responsible to do all of their own purchasing and things like that. And here's why. Um, if we do a group purchasing process, there needs to be a lot of communication. We need to tell everybody their deadlines, and there needs to be one person that orders it. There needs to be a communication plan. There needs to be a distribution plan. All of those things, we have none of them. Um, so the problem with doing a lot of that is um, it can save a lot of time and energy, and we work together. But right now, we're not set up to run these things centrally. In the past, Greg ran these things centrally, and he would send everything out and communicate. He'd have regular meetings. We are not doing that specifically because the campus pastors did not want to do that. So in doing that, each campus pastor has more ownership of what they do, but they also have more responsibility to execute all the events and do all their purchasing and things like that. So what I'd like to say is we cannot do any group purchasing for other campuses. If we do that, it will create a lot of confusion. There will not be clear lines between all the budgeting and who's responsible for the finances of different things. And no campus pastor has approached me about this except for Greg, and he asked if we could order his eggs. So the one exception, when we do order the eggs, if we can order Greg's eggs, that's fine. We just have to divide up the finances, and Sarah, you can make sure that that happens. But beyond that, I want to draw the line and say we will not do any additional ordering because we are not set up for it. We don't have the infrastructure for it. We don't have the communication system for it, and it will create confusion. That might sound like, oh, why can't we just do this to help other campuses out? Well, the reason is it creates a lot of confusion if you don't do it well and you don't have a good system. And we experienced a little bit of that with Candytown with some of the group ordering, and people didn't meet the expectations, and there was confusion, and expectations weren't met. So just to understand the history of how we got here, each campus pastor specifically wanted us to allow them to have the creativity and flexibility to do things how they want, and also absorb the responsibility of the ordering. The only exception is let's order Greg's eggs, but nothing beyond that should happen. Unless you bring me into the loop, and I will probably very strongly disagree that we should do that because I think it creates some confusion. And that's all I'm trying to avoid is confusion. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. And this goes back to an agreement that I had with campus pastors several months ago. Next thing I want to talk about, that was group purchasing. Second thing, what do we purchase? What can we purchase now, and what do we need to get approval for? I want to be involved with every purchase that we're making. So when we meet in our meetings and I say, green light, let's buy this, let's get it, let's go for it, we can begin to purchase those things. But I don't want any purchasing to happen without my knowledge because we are on a very tight budget, and I want to know exactly what is going on with our purchasing. So every purchase needs to be approved, and I want to approve them in chunks, not like, hey, can I buy this candy bar? Yes, please buy the candy bar. But what I want to do in our meetings, I want to gain agreement on what are we purchasing, and then when we leave that meeting, everybody can go and purchase the things that we've already approved. So in those meetings, that is the time to bring a proposal of everything that we do. This is my third point. Number one was group purchasing. Number two is what are we allowed to purchase and what needs to be approved. Number three is a proposal system. What I'd like for us always to do is bring proposals. When we meet, we're trying to meet for 30 minutes in those weekly meetings. I want you to bring a full proposal of what you want to do. Not a piece together thing like, well, I'm kind of thinking this, I'm kind of thinking this. The way that I want to function is with full proposals. So that means everything written out and saying, hey, here's what we're going to do with this project. These are all the things that we have to purchase for prizes. Here's the pricing for everything. This is what I recommend. And then you bring that proposal to the meeting and we can talk about it. And that way, when we leave that meeting, we have everything documented, we have everything agreed on, and we can all move forward in the same direction, understanding how the money's going to be spent and things like that. So everything should be brought to a proposal. It should be written out and things like that. So decoration is another thing. That's what I would like to see that be one of the big proposals that you bring to this next meeting. Not just piece together things, come together with a full plan of how is everything going to function together and how is it going to work. What do we need to purchase? How much is it going to be and things like that. So if you want to put a lot of time and effort into something, put it into a proposal to bring to that meeting so we can give approval to that. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is hours. Sarah and Chris, I'd like for you guys to talk about how many hours is appropriate for Chris to be working and how do we approve this. This is, again, one of those proposals. Bring a proposal for how many hours should be spent on this because Chris is getting paid an hourly rate. We have limited resources to be able to pay for that. That doesn't mean, Chris, you shouldn't log your hours. I want you to log your hours and do everything. Every time that you work, I want you to be paid for it. And that's an ethical thing. I think we need to be paying you for that. And you're used to volunteering. Oh, no, I'll do it for free. No, that isn't something that we're able to do. But that makes it all the more important for you to work on the things that are the most important. So yesterday when we were talking, I said, don't you stuff an egg. The reason for that is I can't pay you to stuff an egg. And I need you to, I hired you to function at a different level. So you're not paid to stuff an egg. You're paid to bring volunteers together and equip them to stuff eggs and to encourage them and keep things going. So I want all of your time to be focused on some of the proposals, the project planning, and the team building to execute the big event, not to actually do the things yourself. That's really key. So Sarah and Chris, what I'd like you to do is I'd like for you to come to our next meeting with two proposals, actually three proposals. All the things we need to purchase that we haven't already agreed on. All the decorations, what do we need to do for decorations? What's the plan? How much is everything going to cost? And number three, how do all of the hours work together? How many hours are you going to be working and what are you working on those? What are you working on during those times? So let's work on that. Three proposals. Number one, decoration. Number two, purchasing. And number three, hours worked. If you guys need anything, shoot me a message on Podio. Or if we need to schedule a call between the three of us, we can do that. Alrighty, later guys.